So what we have seen till now, that is plastic zone, right? We have seen that a plastic zone forms ahead of a crack tip, and due to that we have several plastic zone corrections and all, etc. Those type of things we have earlier seen. Okay, now what we have to see is the K effective. So we know K is the stress intensity level, stress intensity factor. So if plastic zone correction is there, then we have seen earlier that the crack that is present, okay, that crack, instead of that actual crack size, we call something like effective crack size, isn't it? So we have said that as if the crack length is extra little bit, and that is equal to A plus RP. Earlier we have seen little extra, that is A plus delta, if you can remember, and that delta we have equated with RP star, so that we said that it is A plus RP star is the effective crack length, and by that way what we try to say is the crack length is little bit higher. So if crack length is higher, then we have seen that K is equal to sigma root pi A. So instead of that A, if it is little high A value, obviously the K value will also change, isn't it? So instead of computing the K based on the actual crack present, we have some certain effective K value. Do you follow this? So we know K equal to sigma root pi A, but if we have to measure the K correctly, then we have to find out what is effective K, and this effective K equal to sigma root pi A plus RP, the plastic zone. Okay. So we have the idea about effective crack length instead of original K that we generally calculate from the actual crack length. Okay. So if I have effective crack length sigma root A plus RP, here we can put in this way A plus, what is the dimension of RP? Say we are doing this in terms of plane stress. So that is 1 by 2 pi K square by sigma ys square, K square by sigma ys square, and this K square I can write again this sigma root pi a square, है ना? Okay, I am writing it in two steps, K square by sigma ys square. So it is sigma root A plus RP, then sigma root pi into A plus this RP term I have written here, and then if I write here K, that K I have to replace with the actual K value. So what I can write here is sigma root pi A plus 1 by 2 pi sigma square pi A by sigma ys square. So you can cut them pi and take out, if I take out A from here, so what it will be? It will be sigma root pi A. If I take out A from here, it will be equal to sigma root pi A into root over 1 plus 1 by 2 sigma by sigma ys whole square. That way I can write the term of K effective as sigma root pi A into root over 1 plus 1 by 2 sigma by sigma ys whole square. Okay. So this is the value of K effective, but the thing is, after calculation of this particular one, then what will happen? Then I will have one certain K effective value. For that I have a certain crack length which is A plus RP. Now if I now consider this A plus RP as a new crack length, then again based on that I can calculate a new RP value. Do you follow this or not? So this is one iterative method, that by putting the value of Rp in the equation, I can have an idea about the plastic zone size, and based on that particular plastic zone size, I can calculate a certain stress intensity factor or K. So, that K we are considering as K effective, but now based on this new K effective, again I can have a new plastic zone size. So, this is a process which is in iterative method, and I can have several values of K effective and Rp. Okay. So, if you can have some, say for in this problem, if I have some certain sigma, sigma is the applied stress, a certain crack length initial, A means semi crack length, and certain yield strength of a material, I can calculate what is the K stress intensity as well as what is the effective stress intensity and plastic zone size as per plane stress condition. Okay. So, that you can do, right. Okay. Here I want to make one point, that is, if you see Ditter's book, this type of approach you will get, and if you see Hertzberg's book, then little bit variation in this calculation is there. What is the variation? This K they did not put the original K, instead they have put here also K effective, and that K effective, if you then take out, that equation will come little different manner, but the final calculation won't be very different. Okay, means final magnitude of the value won't be very different. So, instead of putting K and its particular values here, if you put here K effective, then the final expression will be something like sigma root pi a divided by 1 minus 1 by 2 sigma by sigma ys whole square whole to the power half. Okay. So, if you follow the Hertzberg's approach, they have, instead of putting that K inside, they put K effective inside and did the rearranging, and finally the expression for K effective has come out as in this manner. So, we can follow any of this, say this I have given in any of your exam or you are getting it anywhere. So, you can follow any of the approaches and then you will find a certain K effective value. Okay. So, now do you try to solve one problem on this, that problem is a material is in use in some certain application where the applied stress sigma is 300 megapascal. Okay. Material's yield strength is 1400 megapascal. Another material you have for which applied stress is same, but Ys is say 385 megapascal. Okay. Both are having through thickness crack, and that crack length is something like 16 millimeter. Okay. Crack length okay. So, this is the problem for which you have to find out the plastic zone size as per plane stress condition and the effective K, that you try to do now. Okay. So, in the book you will find it is written in terms of many sentences, that a material is there, a plate of steel with a central through thickness crack, etc., of length 16 mm, subjected to a stress of 350. Okay, it is given 350, I have given 300, no problem, you do it, you see how much is the result. stress of this much MPa, normal to the crack plane. Okay. So these are the things, means you have, say this is the body on which, say here you have the crack and it is through thickness crack, then you have loaded it, the stress is normal to the crack. Okay, that way the problem is given in the book. So these are the things that you may require, that sigma is this, sigma means the applied stress, sigma ys of the material is 1400, in another case sigma ys is 385. So you have to calculate two sets of RP and two sets of K effective. So that you do based on the equations available to you as per plane stress criteria. Okay. So you do, we know that RP equal to 1 by 2 pi K square by sigma ys square, and this K again I know sigma root pi a. So K square is sigma square pi a. So put that thing and estimate what is RP, and then find out what is K effective. K effective expression is already given here. Only have to put the data for both the conditions of yield strength of the material. Please remember that crack length is given is 16, that means the A is half of that, it is 8 millimeter. So if you put A 8 millimeter, that you convert in meter, because the unit of K stress intensity is megapascal root meter. Okay. The value of A you put, or during calculation the value of A you take in terms of meter, such that the K value we get in terms of megapascal root meter. So tell me the values of RP in both the cases. It must not take so long time, right, to find out the value of RP. Sigma root pi a, sigma is 300 root over 3.14 into 0.008, कितना आया? ठीक है, 3.6 मिलीमीटर होगा ना कि, देन -4, ठीक है, -4, अच्छा. So it is 3.6 into 10 to the power -4 in the first case, meter, and in that case जब it is yield strength equal to 385 MPa, when yield strength equal to 385, what is the RP? Okay, so it is 1.83, so half of this. So I don't know, you calculate and find out, this is not a big thing. Only thing is you have to take the A is 0.008, if you make it correct then you will get it easily. Anyway, that you can do. And what is RP as per this second approach? This comparison I want to see. This 1.83 or 3.6 is not a big, and whoever has done mistake, that is not a big deal. So only putting the value, why are you taking so long time? Huh. Okay. So next case you are telling it is 2.43 into 10 to the power -3 meter. Okay. So at least I have some idea about what is the plastic zone size in this case. is this much 10 to the power minus 4, and here it is in terms of 10 to the power minus 3. At least 10 times variation is there based on the yield strength of the material. Other things, all other things are same, like applied stress is same, crack length is same, yield strength is changing. So, in that case, if yield strength is higher, you have found that the plastic zone size will be smaller. That you got here or not? So, what is K effective? Did you calculate? Okay, first case I am writing, it is 47.56. Second case, it is 48.1. And what is K only? Have you calculated that? Only 47 and 48? I don't think.
Second case, first case, K effective is 48.1.
Okay. First case, K effective is 48.1. What is K? K is 47. Okay, so for the first case, it is the value of K is around 47 point something, and the K effective is around 48.1. So, what we can see, if the material's yield strength is high enough, then K and K effective is not having very big difference. But in the second case, I don't know you have calculated or not, if you have, some of you, then the value that you will be getting will be very big difference. So, please do this and you will get a value. Instead, if I would have put here 350 applied stress, then my results what I have calculated is 55 and around 65. So, this much difference in the K effective values. So, if you have done it, you will get that the value of K effective will be varying if the yield strength is low. Okay. So, if the yield strength is low, then the value of K effective will be largely different. But if the yield strength is very high, in that case we cannot see very big difference between the K and K effective values. Okay. So, second case have it, is it there, because K will be same in the second case also, applied stress crack length is similar. So, K need not to calculate. Nearly 54, okay. So, it is around 47 and 54, that indicates that there is a difference. So, once I have got K effective as 54, then I have got the crack length. So, I have to take another second case crack length as A plus RP. Based on that, again you have to do one calculation and you will find that this difference is reducing. So, we have to stop at some certain point when I can understand that yes, now the difference is negligible, and thus that will be your final K value for the material. Okay. So, this is the thing, first one. Okay. Now, we have to understand the plane stress versus plane strain fracture toughness. So, what at all we have by now understood that based on the materials YS yield strength, the plastic zone size and the K values, everything varies. Okay, by doing some problems here, we understood that based on the yield strength, plastic zone size, etc., K values also will vary. Okay. Then we can also say that when the material is thin or thick, so based on the thickness of a specimen, the K value varies. Why based on thickness K value will vary? Now we know that some term earlier also we used plastic constant factor. Okay. And what will happen is plastic constant factor will change. How? the derivation will not put, but plastic constant factor I can represent in terms of some sigma by sigma ys. Okay, sigma, instead of sigma you can write sigma max. So, sigma max by sigma ys during a loading operation. If you see the Broek's book, you will find for this plastic constant factor for plane stress and plane strain condition how it varies, that derivation is given. But here only I will write the final expression, that is for a plane stress condition. By now I think you understand what is plane stress and plane strain, right? Plane strain means a thick specimen is there. Okay. So, if you have a thick specimen, that is a plane strain condition, that means what? Now, ahead of the crack tip you have lot material, a huge material. So, if that is the case, that is in case of plane strain condition, if you have huge material, then deformation in that direction will be less, and the toughness of a material is the measure of how much amount of plastic deformation can be given to a structure. Okay. So, if the deformation ahead of the crack tip is less, that means for that case, at least for plane strain condition, our toughness value that I will get is less. Okay. So, from plastic constant also I can define this, and plastic constant for plane stress condition is equal to 1 for plane stress and equal to 3 for plane strain. So, if you have a plane strain condition, then plastic constant factor increases. Okay. So, if plastic constant factor increases, then I can say that plastic deformation for plane strain reduces. And from the equation of RP, that is plastic zone size, there also we have seen for plane strain condition the equation is 1 by 6 pi k square by sigma ys whole square. So, 1 by 6 pi means, and in the plane stress it is 1 by 2 pi. So, it is at least 3 times less the plastic zone size. Can you remember that? For plane stress condition, the plastic zone size we had 1 by 2 pi k square by sigma ys whole square. For plane strain condition, plastic zone size is 1 by 6 pi k square by sigma ys whole square. So, in case of plane strain, the plastic zone size is smaller. So, if the plastic zone size is smaller, that means what? The plastic deformation, plastically deformed region in the material is less. So, if plastic deformation is less, that means what? Now, that toughness is less. So, what I can say, if I have a plot of fracture toughness, rather toughness of a material versus thickness, I will see a curve which is coming down with increasing thickness. So, the curve that I will find is, it is coming down in this fashion, and after a certain thickness the toughness does not change. Okay. So, for a material, if I decide different dimensions of specimens, what are the specimens, that after this I will tell, but for a material if I take specimens of different dimensions, then I will find that up to certain thickness the toughness value reduces with the increasing specimen thickness. After that certain value, the no reduction is there, rather a constant value of toughness will get. So, for any design, anything, I can say this level is one specific value, because after this there will be no reduction in the toughness value of the material. Do you follow this or not? Means if I design a material based on this particular, or considering this as the toughness of the material, then I can say that इससे नीचे below this the toughness never will go. Can you follow? Even if the thickness increases or something happens, so this is one safe limit for toughness below which the toughness of the material does not fall. Okay, because if we increase the thickness, then also the toughness is constant here. Okay. So, this level of toughness is known as the critical value, and that is the fracture toughness of a material. Okay. Yes.
So that thickness approximately varies around that thickness level.
Okay, that thickness level what it is. So, question was that thickness varies how much at which level, that we will address slowly. So, that we will see, but for the time being you try to understand that this is the thickness below which the fracture toughness does not vary. Okay. So, for any design, if I take that thickness level as that fracture toughness level as a limit, I can say that fracture toughness does not vary than that. Okay. So, this is the plane strain fracture toughness of a material, which I can say that even if I vary the thickness of a material, that will not change. Above that, I can say all the other values are plane stress fracture toughness. Okay. So, I can say that plane stress fracture toughness of a material depends on the material geometry, means how much thickness it is, etc., and plane strain fracture toughness does not. Okay. So, below this I can say the fracture toughness values in at any thickness is plane strain fracture toughness. Okay. And that indicates that below this level fracture toughness does not vary with specimen geometry. Okay. So, if I have calculated plane strain fracture toughness, that is independent of specimen geometry, only dependent on the material's metallurgical factors, mean how much heat treatment, etc., whatever is done, what are alloying elements, based on that. Okay. Do you follow up to this? Okay. So, what is this thickness? Based on this thickness, we have materials different design for doing a valid fracture toughness test. So, till now whatever we have discussed not related to any specimen, how the test is. So, now what will be where will enter the specimen thickness. So, obviously if you do a fracture toughness test taking a specimen which is having thickness lower than this, that must not be valid, because we want to tell that this is one conservative value of fracture toughness, above which if you increase the thickness there is no change in the fracture toughness value. So, taking a specimen which is having thickness lower than this level will not be a valid plane strain fracture toughness test. Is that clear? So, obviously for doing a test we have to take specimen thickness which is at least higher than this thickness level, and that thickness B is, you can say, for doing a fracture toughness test, B specimen thickness here it is used, B is used as a thickness 2.5. That value of B should be greater than equal to 2.5 K1C by sigma ys whole square. Okay. Specimen thickness for doing a valid plane strain fracture toughness test is 2.5 K1C by sigma ys whole square. So, this B is can also be equal to the crack length A. So, I can write A or B, that means I have identical thickness as well as crack length for doing a valid fracture toughness test. Again I am telling what are the different specimen dimensions, those things I will see, I will tell you, say yes, now also we can tell. So, that is the valid fracture toughness test specimen design, and here you can see that 2.5 chhod ke other things K1C by sigma ys whole square is related to the or similar to the RP plastic zone size. So that means what? The specimen design, whatever we are making, is somehow related to the plastic zone size of a material. Okay. So specimen thickness is somehow related to the plastic zone size of the material. How it is related, that also we will see later. For the time being, I can draw one fracture toughness specimen. This is schematic view of a particular fracture toughness specimen. Do any of you know this design? Bolo? Any of you? No. Okay. This particular design is known as CT specimen. CT means compact tension. So this particular design of the specimen is known as compact tension specimen. This length is what, that will be what all these things are fixed. This is the machine notch, you can say, that we produce, and I can say that this is B of the specimen, and this is the, after that we give little bit fatigue crack, which is known as fatigue pre-cracking before doing the test. So what are all those things? Those things we will see later. But you have a fatigue pre-cracking, we have two holes here through which we can insert some pins, and that way we clamp it in a machine, and then both the ends I try to open it. Then loading will be there, crack opening will be there. This side I have some clip gauges on which I can attach something which is known as, do any of you know? It is called, bolo? Extensometer is the term for doing a tensile test. In this case we call this as COD gauge, crack opening displacement gauge. In this case we call this as COD gauge, that is crack opening displacement gauge. Okay. So the dimension is, this is B, and then this length is, okay, before telling that I have to tell this is W, this is W, and W equal to 2B. This length is 1.2 W, 1.25 W. This particular length is 1.2 W. Okay. So this is one particular design of a fracture toughness specimen, which is known as a CT specimen. For a CT specimen, these are the dimensions: W equal to 2B, 1.25 W one direction, another direction 1.2 W, one certain place you have W, another one is B, and A or B equal to greater than or equal to 2.5 K1C by sigma y is whole square. Okay. Up to this, is that clear to you?